Hey guys, welcome back. This is Jury Rig Garage. I'm Davis. This is Tristan here. Today we're going to continue with the Tahoe engine swap. So got the old motor out here, got the new motor out here. We've encountered many problems that we did not do enough research on that could have prevented it, but we identified a lot of problems.
We're fixing problems.
So, some of you guys in the comments might have, already touched on it. This is a Gen 3 motor. This is a Gen 4 motor.
They're different.
This is a Gen 4 truck. There's some differences when it comes between these generations of engines. The Gen 3 came in like tons of different trucks and performance cars. So like Fence's Trans Am had a Gen 3. These come with different triggers for sensing the timing of the motor, so cam and crank position. This has a 24-tooth Reluctor wheel and also would measure timing from the top from a crank position sensor. This Gen 4 has a 54-tooth Reluctor wheel and then also would measure the timing from the front.
The cam sensor now has to be in
right
front.
Here, so that's where it would go. As you can see, our Gen 3 front cover does not have the provision for that. The cam gear would be different because we're measuring cam timing from that sensor. Now that we need to transfer over to this, it's like a 4x position sensor.
So now we got one of those.
Yep.
So this is the Gen 4 cam gear that we're gonna need.
Has some bumps on there that the cam position.
Reluctor wheel.
Yep.
54, 52,
58 tooth.
58 tooth.
And then this is a 24 tooth. Basically, guys, what we're gonna do is some jury rig stuff. What I'd recommend you guys do is, before doing this, just get a Gen 4 crank. But what we're gonna do, or even like if you're in our boat, take the crank out, take it to a machine shop to install this. What we're going to do is take the crank out from the bottom. We're gonna try doing it the simplest way, not taking the heads off. We're gonna get it top dead center.
We're gonna try.
And then unbolt the mains, unbolt the rod caps, take the crank out, heat up the 24-tooth Reluctor wheel, knock it off, heat this up to 500 degrees, figure out exactly what orientation needs to go because that's critical. And then when it says hot, slide it on. Be done at that point, basically just reassemble everything, new cam gear too.
Alternatively, you could not put a Gen 3 in a Gen 4 because after research, apparently people really like to put 4th gens in their 3rd gen. They don't usually go the other way around. Come to find out, they don't put 3rd gens in 4th gen trucks, probably because of these reasons. And also, a 4th gen is more sought after because of the internals, but in a stock-to-stock motor, that's not going to matter. But they're just more sought after.
Yeah.
So people either put Gen 4s in their Gen 4 trucks, or they put a Gen 4 motor in their Gen 3 trucks. What that also means is that we're going to, because we don't want to have to convert the knock sensors.
Yes.
We don't want to. And so what we're going to do with that is these blocks have the same place for you to drill through. The same bosses, identical. Well, okay, they're not identical.
These ones go on the side.
That literally has its own spot. But we've seen people just drill and tap these. They bolt right up to it, and then boom, you have working knock sensors on your Gen 4 car, on your Gen 3 block.
The stock knock sensors are at the top of the valley cover, so these we're just going to cover because they're not going to be used. Also,
the reason I didn't want to just adapt the wiring because I thought that was going to be super simple, but what happens is these knock sensors only have one wire coming off of them, so it's one wire to one wire, and then they connect with 2 wires, and then you plug that in. Well, each of these knock sensors have 2 wires.
And they go right to the harness.
And they go right in the harness. So you could extend the wiring up to here, and that'd be fine. But the thing is, they have 2 wires, and these only have 1. How do you reliably adapt that? It's probably possible, but at that point, it's like, okay.
There's a lot of research we could do to maybe make it work rather than just...
So it could work, it might not work, but then that will work.
Easier.
So that's easier. The only thing I can see is in the car, the bolts are kind of long, so, maybe we'll have to, like, use different bolts, or maybe we'll, I don't know.
Shorten them or something.
So that's just another thing that we're finding out that we're having to deal with. And so we have the rear cover mostly unbolted. Just gotta take the last bolts out of that. We are just concerned off camera that the oil pan is actually going to be necessary.
Yeah. Different part numbers.
3rd gen oil pan.
Yep. And
3rd gen oil pan never came in these cars because 4th gen engine. This is the first year of the 4th gen engine in these bodied of cars. So,
yeah, the truck's 4-wheel drive, so what we're concerned about is the 4-wheel drive transfer case, the rack, whatever, interfering here, but we did measure it, and this actually looks like it might clear better than the other oil pans.
Yeah, so. Just slightly, because this actually isn't as wide by like half an inch.
The distance from here to right there
is like half an inch back more than that one is, and then this slope is actually very similar to that. So after measuring it, I don't think it's gonna be a problem, but that was just like a little scare that we had because oh no, we might not be able to use like the nice shiny oil pan compared to
this dirty
that
one.
Nasty
This one is Absolutely horrible. Like
I'm already disappointed we have to use that front cover.
Yep.
After buying this like shiny new one and we have to use that.
I did clean it up. I did like spray it super clean.
Which
obviously super clean.
You did a good job, and yet you really can't tell because of how disgusting this whole motor.
Was way worse before.
This whole motor, like if you just look at this right here.
Yeah, I was saying like
this is how everything on this motor has looked. So, yum yum.
Don't even want to touch it.
By the way, guys, if you couldn't tell, we have some brand new Super Clean drip that we just got. So thank you to Super Clean. They also sent us some cleaning supplies. So that's a huge thing. Because I mean, we always need degreaser.
Yeah, we've been using some crappy stuff, so now we got the good stuff. We got Super Clean degreaser, wheel cleaner, and they also gave us another one of these, which,
they know us well because
we always spill.
I always oil down the driveway.
Floor absorbent. This stuff works. We use it even on the Tahoe over here when we dropped all the trans fluid.
We actually used all of what we had last time, so I'm really glad that they gave us new stuff. Again, thanks. I mean,
love working with Super Clean.
We didn't ask them. They just, this is the second time they've given us stuff, and they're like, hey, do you want this stuff?
Yep.
And so that's awesome. Couldn't ask for a better company that hits you up and asks you if you want free stuff. You gonna turn that down?
So guys, we're gonna go ahead and flip this over, take off front rear cover, oil pan, and then see about taking off the mains and the rod caps. If we encounter issues, we're not going to proceed with that. We're just going to take the cylinder heads off and just unfortunately have to tear it fully down to take the crank out.
That'll take hours longer, but if we have to, we have to. If we don't, we're gonna save the time and effort.
Yep.
But all we gotta do to start is just to get it at top dead center, and then go from there.
All right, guys, we'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. We just went through and got all the rod. Yeah, we went through hell. If you guys want to do this properly, take off the cylinder heads, do all that stuff. Basically, what we're running into is we only got a certain range of movement with the crank, with the rods connected, because they'll start touching the valves. We didn't crank it at all. We literally just, once it touched gently, we stopped. But we had to go kind of back and forth. Be careful with the rods not scratching the crank. It's all clean. And then once we have the crank out, we're going to clean it again. And use new assembly lube, all that good stuff.
We took the cam gear off and the timing chain off like immediately, so the timing can't change.
Yeah, at least the cam timing won't change. And all we'll have to do is when we put this back on, just get this gear right here where you see the dot marked with the cam gear, and cam gear has not moved. Basically, once we put it on, just retime it. So as far as crank goes, we're good. I'm gonna set up the camera, and what we're going to do is push down the rods. They still move by hand, as you can see. Like I was able to move that down. We're gonna do that, make sure that they don't touch the surface because there's sharp metal. You don't want touching the crank. And then we're gonna pull the crank out. So I'm gonna set up the camera and we're gonna pull this out. All right, guys, we just pulled the crank out. As you saw, all the rod bearings look good and clean, main bearings, all that, like literally no cause for concern. We'll just have to be careful when we're putting this all back together. So now we're going to return our attention to the crank. We'll need to figure out what orientation the new Reluctor wheel will go on.
Yeah.
We'll look online, do some research, but the goal here will be to heat it up with the torch you have, and then we'll need to figure out which way the new Reluctor wheel goes on, because there's a chamfered side and then there's a flat side. See, there's like two diamond looking things on either side. We'll just need to figure out exactly what orientation this goes on, mark it as well, and then we'll need to heat this to about 500 degrees to slide on, because this is an interference fit piece. Like, it's not bolted in, it's not keyed. We're gonna do some research, and then we're going to clean it and then start torching it and pull it off. We'll just get big welding gloves and go at it. All right, guys, we did extensive jury rig garage research, so it was clearly in depth.
Yes.
So what we have here is the 58 tooth Reluctor wheel, and we marked it where it will need to go. So basically you'll have a flat side and then the chamfered side. The chamfered side faces the front of the crank. If you look at the crank, there's an 11 millimeter dowel, and you can use this as a reference. So imagine that's a 12 o'clock position, And then you have the 58 tooth reluctor wheel. You see this little dowel right here? That will go at the 4 o'clock position, basically. You set that on there. You can see it's at the 4 o'clock position, matching the stock one. And then also the pointed areas, those also match. We'll just need to like...
Yep, they said 3 and 9, which matches up exactly.
And then you can see our lines that we put on there match it. So basically all we will need to do is when we take this off and then heat this up, we'll just need to quickly get this on and match it up exactly on there.
Now that have our hands on this, honestly, I think your oven idea sounds pretty good right now.
We can get this off first. We got to put that in first, you know.
Got this boy. We just need a hammy, and that'll get us up to temp because it's only 200 degrees. I'm pretty sure for
we're moving.
So it'll only take like a minute or two to get there. They say you might be able to get it off with your hand. You might just be able to bop it off with a small hammer.
We'll just like tap it off or something.
Davis will have gloves on. I'm just on holder duty right now because we don't have a place to put this crank while we work on it, so I'm holding it.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe we can look for something to...
I'm not worried about it. I mean, because, you know, if you do what you're going to do, as long as you don't drop the fucker on me.
Yep. All right, guys, well, I'm going to go ahead and set up the camera, and we're going to see about doing this science experiment. Your hands. All right, guys, that was a bit of a struggle. It's actually kind of warm in here now after all that torching.
Yep.
We're definitely not going to be able to get this reluctor wheel to 500 degrees with the torches. It was barely enough to get this off, and I measured the temp and only got up to like 150.
With both of them on there.
Yeah. We either need to get an oven or put this in the barbecue or sacrifice it in our oven. All right, guys, we've been toasting our reluctor wheel in the oven, so it's piping hot. I'm going to get our vice grips on. We're going to do this.
Let's go.
Okay.
Hey!
Let's go.
And I'm going to hold it on.
There you go.
We need to hold it until it cools. We basically have to stop moving. If you move, I'm going to mess it up.
We'll take your things off.
Well, if I take it off, then it might move.
Yeah, just like that. Just leave them.
This is critical.
Is this flat all the way down? It looks like it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Here, let me touch.
As flat as I can get it.
Touch it.
Stinky.
It actually feels tight already.
Really?
Yeah, don't do anything. I'm just
I'll just hold.
All right. Hopefully I put it on the right way. Let's go, guys. That's how we do it. First time doing this. And I mean, if it's off by a degree, you know, who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Get a good shot.
The only better way you could have done this is if you took it to a machine shop and used, you know, specialty tools that are like hundreds of dollars.
They use barbecues. They just don't advertise it.
I think you're right about that one.
They're like, oh, we do it professionally. Nah, fam.
Yeah.
They got barbecues in the back.
Glow, you know?
Yep.
Well, the thing is if they do it and charge you money, it's professional.
Yeah.
It don't matter how they do it. It's professional. Because
actually,
you guys get paid. This is technically professional.
Shit. Don't say that.
Yeah, guys, join us as a member down below so you can pay us so we can call ourselves professionals.
This is literally
And do this shit all day.
professional work.
Yep.
We'll do shit like this all day.
It's on there now, so we'll just let it cool.
Do you want to see how cool it has already gotten? I put the thing over there.
Probably still like at least
piping hot, I'm
degrees.
sure.
All right, let's see the temperature.
Oh, it says only 80, 90.
What?
76.
Does it actually cool down that much?
It's pretty warm to the touch, but it's not like blazing hot.
These are welding gloves, so I'm not really getting much heat, but it feels fine. But guys, as you can see, we got the hatch marks on all 4 sides. That's as close as we could reasonably do it without specialty tools, so yeah. Yep.
Hopefully that's where it needs to be.
And then we can throw this all back together, put the new timing gear on. We can actually have this back together today almost, depending on how much time we got. But yeah, that went perfectly. As you can see, it is just a flush fit. There's no gap in between there. They're all good.
Yeah, I can see why the chamfered bit would have to be on the inside because of that.
Good as that's gonna get. So guys, we're gonna go ahead and let this cool and we'll be back. All right, guys, we're back. We got the crank. It's all cooled down to the touch. It is super flush. I think we did a really good job with this, with lining everything up. Like, it's as perfect as we could have done it without specialty tools. I know I already said that.
We did a good job. Honestly.
I mean, we'll see what happens when we crank it.
We'll see what happens. So far, so good.
Yep. We're going to go ahead and re-lube all these, and we're going to set the crank back down in there very gently. We're probably going to have to, like, hold the rods as we drop this in to, like, get it proper. I did push the rods as deep as they would go without, like, messing up anything, so...
Just by hand, so it wouldn't mess up anything.
Yeah, so we're just going to put this in, the crank in. We're going to line up the rods. We're going to pull them back up in place, and then hopefully get the caps on, main caps, torque back down, or we'll see where we end off because it's getting kind of late for us today. I
would say don't do this at home. Don't do this. But if you're in a similar situation, do what you want.
Yep.
And we did it, and it worked. So far, so good.
Yep, we got this junk out of here.
I wouldn't recommend people do this at home. But yeah, we're at Gen3 Garage. So.
Oh yeah, super clean.
Yeah, super clean. Yep. What can't we do?
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna set up the camera, and we're gonna work on this. All right, guys, we're back. The GoPro died, so that's all good. You know, they can't handle the heat of the day. So this is the old cam gear. This is a 4X cam gear, and 3-bolt, so we can retain the stock cam we have. This will actually record the cam position, whereas the other one, where I'd have to flip it over, but it's on the underside of the motor, right there. It would measure the bottom of the cam, which technically has the marks to do it, but for the Gen 4 application, we need to do it this way. So, yeah, it'll just go on like that. And as you can see, the bottom timing mark matches the dot. We're at top dead center. We just need to put the chain on and bolt her up and we'll be good. All right, guys, got the timing chain, got the timing gear, got everything all oriented properly. If I can get the chain on properly, then we can move on with our lives. Come on. Yeah. There's a way to it. I'm just gonna, there we go. All right, so now we got the 2 dots lined up there, bottom dot, top dot. Good thing the timing gear actually has a dowel, so you can.
That is pretty nice.
Line it up. And we're gonna go ahead and torque everything down, you know, timing gear, all the mains and everything, rod bolts off camera, but we got this all good, so let's go ahead and rotate it and see how it goes, because earlier when we didn't have the timing chain on, obviously some valves were open, so we can only rotate the engine so much one way or the other before the piston starts hitting the valve. Didn't push on the piston, didn't push on the valves hard at all. Just once it touched, we
backed
stopped,
off, yeah.
So we didn't hear anything. But now we should be able to rotate freely, entire way. You can see
which it does, and the Reluctor wheel looks like it's straight as an arrow.
Yep. So that is a huge win. And let me go back to top dead center here and return to top dead center right there. And I'll review some of the photos. I took some photos of this before we tore everything apart, but the crank, this part right here, the counterweight, was in the same orientation, so we should be good to go. New Reluctor wheel,
yep. New
timing gear. Finally, we can move on with putting this motor in the car, because this is a big short sight. So if you're putting a Gen 3 motor in a Gen 4 car, there's some things you need to do. Reluctor wheel, timing, or crank position, and then there's one other thing that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Oh, the knock sensors. So
yep, part of the timing. Also, the front cover needs to be changed.
Drill it there and here, just so we can add.
Yep, we're talking about like these bosses right here. Another one on the other side. We've seen someone on the internet drill these out, or this one right here.
Just drill and tap them.
And yeah, so you drill and tap them, put the knock sensors in. You can use Gen 4 knock sensors. Just you don't have to convert. Plug and play. So yep. I'll just reiterate real quick. I would consider this not the right way to do this.
Yeah.
I would say go to the machine shop and have them do this, because then it's guaranteed to be right.
Well, guaranteed as far as the machine shop can do for you, because chances are they might do, like Zoe was saying, exactly the same thing, throw it in a barbecue oven and just slide it on.
Yeah, and who knows? But chances are, if you do it, the chances are you might mess something up. You might not catch something.
We're taking a gamble.
We are taking a gamble, so I wouldn't recommend doing this. But again, a lot of the decisions that we make here in Jury Rig are a time-based decision.
Yeah.
We work on Saturdays, and so we're very busy people. We have things going on the
Full-time
weekdays.
Jobs, life, all that.
So because of that, this would have taken 1+ week that the build is held up, if not multiple, and so that's why we decided to do what we did. So I just want to reiterate that.
There's a lot of validity in doing it right. Let's just agree that we didn't do it right here.
We did the Jury Rig way.
We did it the Jury Rig way, and I mean,
At
I
least-
have confidence in it, so.
I'm confident in it too, and at least it makes a cool video for you guys, I think.
I don't think there's anyone on the internet has shown this. I'd looked too, because we were trying to figure this out, right? There's some where people show part of it and whatnot,
Right.
but I think we showed the full process of how to convert the Gen 3 block to Gen 4 timing.
Because we read for bits and pieces off forums, not
Forums,
videos.
a bunch of stuff, no videos, and it's all vague and all.
So I think that this makes a pretty decent video, and this should work on any LS, really.
Yep.
Like exactly what we did here.
Yep, just make sure that you line it up, and hopefully the video explained it properly with how you mark everything.
So, off camera, we're going to torque down every single thing. We're going to put the rear cover,
Yeah,
oil
you guys
pan. We got
already saw that.
to RTV some stuff. We saved on the gaskets, so that's nice.
Yep.
So yeah, we're going to do all that, off camera, and then, once you guys see us back, we might be ready to throw the engine in the Tahoe.
We got new transmission lines, we got new exhaust, we got new motor here, we got as much new stuff as we can reasonably put into it, and we transferred over everything that we could feasibly from this Gen 4 motor, other than the oil pan, which we believe the oil pan we have for this should work. And we could even take the oil pan now that's off, get it up flush against the transmission, because that's where it will be flush with, and then just see how it fits.
Be a good idea.
And then, we'll just move on with the build, get it running hopefully soon. I mean, we do have to take off the front end. We don't want to damage the front end any more than we already have with the engine hoist.
Have messed it up a little bit. Yeah. So,
man,
I think that'll do it for this video, guys.
Yeah, guys, I think that's going to do it. Like I said, we're going to off camera just put everything back together. So next video, hopefully, we'll be starting the process of putting everything back in the car, reinstalling everything. So definitely watch out for that. The car, Tristan's still up in the air about selling the truck. So once it's up and running, he's going to drive it, make sure it's broken in, there's no issues. Then he's going to make his final decision if he's going to sell it. Yeah, guys, that's going to do it. If you want to support the channel, you can join us as a member down below. You get exclusive early access to new videos. So if you're watching this now, you can watch the new video right now. Leaving a comment down below. We love reading comments. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time.